All right. Let's get this thing going. We're not wasting any time. Coming in hot. Now, my man, Ben, right out the gate. What's good? What's good? A little live, a little Thursday light. What day is it? What time is it? Doesn't matter. We're in it. Locked in. Ben and I hanging out. I appreciate it. Checking in. Make sure I sound all right. My dude, Nate. All right, y'all. Honestly, sometimes these live streams, my favorite part is the beginning when it's just like us having a conversation and me not shutting up. So if there's ever a time where you want to know or you want some response from me, it is never, ever better than chiming in to the chat right out the gate. All right. We don't have anything to talk about other than the fact that this draft is so close and we are so ready to move beyond it into the lull of the football world season, the summer. But I'm excited. We got another, what do we got? I just got done filming a CJ Stroud video. That'll probably be tomorrow, probably. If there are things you want to see Patreon community-wise, I'm looking to do a video today, maybe tomorrow. So open to suggestions about what we want to see, deep dive. I thought I was going to do a Jordan Love one, but he just didn't play that much last year, and I already did it. Tiago, what's good? What's your worst injury you had? Bro, I got really lucky. One of the many benefits to not playing a lot is not getting hit, not getting hurt. Probably the worst injury I had, no joke. Well, I did some AC things to my shoulder, but my non-throwing shoulder, but probably like a weird back injury I had in high school, freshman year. That was like that's the most time I ever missed for sure. I think I missed like a month. That's probably just because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So got really lucky with that stuff, and obviously did all the things to take care of yourself as well as you possibly could. But let's not get it twisted. When you're not getting hit, it's a hell of a lot easier to survive 10 years than if you're getting smoked all the time. My man CB, what's good? What's the agenda to today? We just did we got no agenda for the live stream. If you're talking just live stream, it's whatever we want to talk about. That's the beautiful thing about it. If it's not live stream, we're going to do maybe a little bit more videos after this. Tough day out here. It's actually really nice. First time in a while that it's kind of not been cold and rainy. So complain about the weather. I'm sure you guys enjoy that. Got a little League Baseball probably a little after this today. Ben, what have been your favorite film sessions to watch in the off season? Favorite film sessions? I'd probably say just Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson have been my favorite. Obviously CJ Stroud, that Georgia game was fun to see. My man Darren checking in from Montana. Boom. Shane. Or Sean. Sorry, bro. I have no idea what the double A diphthong sounds like, but we'll go with Shane. Marvin Harrison Jr. I just got done watching the Ohio State Penn State game. He's basically uncoverable one-on-one. I mean, even when he's covered, he's open. There's some nice back shoulder throws. He actually misses them on a deep shot. He's got great speed, acceleration, change of direction, details in his routes. He's pretty polished, dude, for sure. Sean, there you go. See? Oh, maybe I was saying Shane. Damn. All right, Sean. See if now the true test will be, will I remember it the next live? But I appreciate you checking in. Shane Paul, JT, what do you like to put on the field side to Boundary Dragon? I don't like anything. No, I probably Dragon Lion, maybe Dragon. Why would you throw Dragon? I would throw Dragon middle field closed, so I would want a middle field open beater to the field. So maybe empty double stick. I'm sure some people will say, the old people will say spacing. Option route choice maybe from the backfield, some sort of open beater that you feel confident with. Eastnam, Bruce, appreciate it. Checking in. What's up? Hubble, 1202. Any thoughts on Stroud dropping because he ghosted the Manning Passing Academy? No, zero thoughts. I can't believe that is a thing. That's funny, though, that's even out. What do you mean he ghosted it? Like he just didn't show? He said he was going to show and then he no-showed, or he just never responded to their what? I don't know anything about the Passing Academy other than the fact that I really like Archie. He was nice. All those guys I've had small interactions with and have been nothing but pure class. Paulo, how'd you rank Trey if he was in this draft class? Ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to go back and see what I really thought about Trey coming out. I don't remember exactly where I had him in that draft class. I would say he, maybe a little bit behind Anthony Richardson, I would probably say. I don't think that's a hot take. Darren Ty. One thing I haven't mentioned, if you're coming into this thing, hit the like for me. I appreciate it. Keep these lives able to go here with some mojo coming in. It helps the channel. Darren, what was it? In your opinion, what contributes more to missed throws, lower or upper body mechanics? And do you believe having a longer windup is not that big of a deal if you have a lot of arm strength? Oh, baby. The first part of that question, I don't know if I break it up like that. I guess it would depend. There aren't a whole lot. I'm trying to think like guys at the higher levels that have a whole lot of upper body mechanic misses. I would probably lean towards lower half timing, rhythm-based footwork. Your upper body mechanics, you can certainly improve them, fine-tune them a lot, but you're not going to do that a lot in the season, if that makes sense, or hopefully you're not doing that a lot in your season. And then the longer wind-up thing, if you have a lot of arm strength, I think you can get away with a little bit of a longer stroke with a stronger arm. I'm probably not... I have a bizarre amount of personal experience changing my throwing motion. I went from natural to super quick to maybe overcorrected to a little too long to kind of the tail end of my career being a little bit more back to what I originally was. And so I'm a big believer in just a natural stroke. Now, I think if your natural stroke has some weird, crazy, like Charles Barkley glitch, like I think that probably deserves to be, smoothened out. But beyond for that, I'm just a big believer in, trying to be as efficient and fluid and consistent as you can possibly be with your stroke. Oh man, Joe, is it really Tatis Day? It is. Pods are not hitting it like I think we would love them to, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. That dude is a hurricane at the start of a lineup, that's for sure. I'm excited to see what it looks like. Keener713. Any thoughts on Bryce canceling his private visit with the Panthers? No thoughts. Sorry. I do a decent job of like staying out of the like latest breaking news type things, especially nowadays, like this time of the year. I just think it's all BS, especially if you're hearing anything from like a GM or a coach. It's essentially bullshit across the board. Like, in fact, I might take the opposite as a more transparent opinion. Sean, what is the era of Jalen Hurts game? Oh, area. Sorry, my bad. Area of Jalen Hurts game do you think he needs to refine the most? I don't know, bro. He just got paid. He needs to refine his chill out for a hot second and just enjoy getting paid. Alexander, what are your thoughts on Tua considering retirement due to concussions? How were concussions looked upon when you were in the league? That's a loaded question. That could be a whole video. In fact, I know I've talked about this on other lives, so I won't go into crazy details of it, but I will say, obviously I'm a huge fan of Tua. I hope he gets healthy. I think if it would be a mistake for him not to think about being done. I don't think that's a hot take. I think you have that many concussions. Life is more than being a quarterback in the league or whatever amount of money he's going to make the rest of the way. I just think it is worth more. Now, it's easier for me to say that here than in the room when you have this finite window to do it, and you've been addicted to this your whole life to be able to get this opportunity, and now you're there with that cat. Like, that would be hard to say the least, to walk away from something like that. I get it. So, but I think people around you, all those things, you gotta at least weigh it and be conscious of it. how were concussions looked upon when I was in the league? They were looked upon as like, you know, you see in stars, get back in there, homie. Like it's just part of the deal. I know I've talked about this, mentioned it before. I used to intentionally, you know, do poorly on those concussion tests, with the idea being that if I ever got in there, I wanted to easily be able to pass the concussion tests on the sideline to be able to get back in the game, because I invested years of my life for these opportunities to play, and I wasn't going to let some, this is how I used to think about it back in the day, you know, some nerd in a polo not being able to tell me I wasn't going to play. That was just how I thought of it. In fact, for a long time, one of the team's trainers used me as an example of what not to do as far as intentionally failing those tests. I failed one of the tests so bad they made me retake it with a learning specialist, like right across the desk from me, and I did so bad that they either said I had like a severe, and I don't say this with like a joking manner, looking back on it, it was very stupid, but either a severe learning disability or I was totally bullshitting. And I was just totally bullshitting because I didn't want someone else taking the ball out of my hands. And that's how invested I was, and I think that's how invested a lot of people were. Maybe, I hope it's gotten better nowadays. I'm sure it has, but for me, you know, the test used to be like, okay, repeat these 5 words. It'd be like apple, chef, you know, car, baseball, green. And so they'd ask you to repeat it: apple, chef, car, baseball, green. And then they'd ask you a bunch of other questions. And then at the end, they'd be like, repeat the 5 words. And I'd be like, you know, cherry, yellow, motorcycle, basketball. Like, yeah, got it. Like, and so it was just you know, manipulating the system. Let's see what we got. There it is, Barry. Barry knows. Steelers DB. Oh, let me see, Darren. Would it concern you if a quarterback prospect did not do well in cognitive tests? Or are there a lot of these tests BS for the most part? I think there might, you know, there would be some concerns, I think red flags, if it's a significant outlier. Okay, like I'm talking about in the tail of the distribution. And what I mean by that is it more just like, I don't think it's a disqualifier for a guy to not be a great test taker or to not be the smartest, like book smartest guy, or quote unquote like cognitive, you know, ability to react and see like flashing lights and shit like that. Like, I've been around a lot of guys that I would say might not be the sharpest cats in the world, that might not be, you know, quote unquote like off to medical school if they weren't in the league, but are still really good quarterbacks and have a great understanding of space and timing and teammates and leadership and influence and ability, just unbelievable athletic ability. So that part of it would be silly to disqualify people for. But I've also been around guys that I think have severe learning disabilities that have probably gone undiagnosed for years, if ever. And so to make sure you have the support system and scaffolding to allow those guys to thrive, I think is important for a team organization at any level. So yeah, I would want to know, but it's not a disqualifier unless, you know, even I've been around guys that I would say struggle to read, and, you know, they can read a playbook. In fact, I know I've told the story before that I was around guys that used to have the play called for them, meaning like, hey, because I know Joe was here for a hot second, like Joe corner, Joe go, Joe hitch, you know, at the end of every play. So you know where to line up, and I'll tell you what to do in every play call. Okay, so there's ways to work around, you know, guys who might not be able to carry the most amount of volume of plays in their head. Thiago, JT, who is the most freakish offensive lineman you played with? Ooh. I'd say my favorite guy to watch on film, when we would watch our own film, would probably be LaCharles Bentley. I was with him first couple years in New Orleans. Our first game ever, he literally beat the shit out of Warren Sapp. First week of the season, the year they won the Super Bowl. I mean, beat the shit out of him, like bullied him. And I was like, oh, we got ourselves a straight up dude's dude. He's also a hell of a dude. But man, before he got injured, he was a beast. The other guy that I would say was similar to that vibe-wise was, what was his name? Hutchinson for the Vikings. I was only there for a hot second when he was there, but I remember being like watching film, being like, oh, I'm watching the guard a lot and not watching the quarterback or the defense. Boom, Mason coming in hot. Cha-ching. Ba-boom. Oh, Mason, you're going to be disappointed. Sorry. Who do you see the Colts drafting? Do you see whatever that head coach's name is having success with whoever they draft, like they had with Herbert and Hurts? Steichen? Not necessarily. I mean, let's put it this way. Well, then tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, but off the top of my head, the Colts are drafting 4th. Assuming it falls that it's Young and Stroud are not available, I would guess that they would draft Richardson. I think the more interesting question might be who goes second, at least for me. If I was making the decision, like if I'm the Texans, do I for sure go Stroud or do I go Richardson? That to me is more of a question than who goes third, if that makes sense. So depending on what happens with Houston, I think the Colts decision is kind of made for them. I personally, if I was a Colts fan, I think you could expect earlier, more immediate success with Stroud. And I think Stroud has got the potential to be a really good NFL quarterback. I think Anthony Richardson has a chance to be a, dynamic, kind of flip the league on its head athletics skill set that probably will take some more time to refine, to maximize. But, man, it would be exciting. Wow. Wherever he goes, I hope Anthony Richardson goes somewhere that allows him to be him, but also challenges him to accelerate his quote-unquote, like the polish of his game to allow him to thrive quicker. Because I think the worst case scenario is something like Trey Lance, where like for whatever reason he doesn't get to play or gets hurt or there's something happens where he's not able to play and get better on the field. That I think is going to be a struggle. Fish and chips, ba-boom. Appreciate you. Try to have fun with this stuff, bro. I really do. Alexander Wilson, in it again, bro. You're going for the MVP of this thing. I appreciate the support. Bobby Beathard, who drafted Ryan Leaf, said the moment that he knew he made a mistake was the first day Leaf stepped in the locker room. Really? I don't believe that shit for a second. I don't know anything about this story. What does that mean as an NFL player? I don't know. That means I would call bullshit on Bobby Beathard. I don't think that's a true statement. Sorry. And if he did, my follow-up question to whoever he told that to would be, what did he do? And, it's obviously, I really hate this shit where people go back and look back on their mistakes or people, whatever actions in the past and come at it from this like, oh, I knew so quickly. No, you didn't, bro. No, you didn't. You just own it, live with how muddy it is, and, try to pick apart things that you can learn from it moving forward. But don't say you knew from day one. I don't believe that shit. Sorry. Darren, there's a story out there that Stroud bombed his cognitive test badly enough where it would be an issue. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm not that kind of scientist where I've looked at those, quote unquote. I know that I'm assuming you're talking about those like S2 cognitive tests. I don't know enough about the methodology of those things to be like overly concerned with it. I don't know what bombing that means either. I just, again, I've been around enough guys that I think have learning issues that have thrived. And so don't get it twisted that this stuff is not splitting atoms playing quarterback. Now, some things might be more complicated than others, but none of them are, high-level stuff that I think most people can't handle if they invest enough time and it's meaningful enough to them. Now, does that mean everyone can? No, I've been around guys that it's just too much and you got to refine it and make it less so that they can thrive and play at a fast level. But I don't know. I don't know what the barrier to saying, hey, this is now an issue. We're not going to draft a guy because on film, he's pretty good. Doesn't have a cognitive issue on film. Carl, appreciate the kind words. Very cool. Thanks, dude. Oh, man. Maisha in the house. Appreciate you, as always. Got to check in, actually, offline at some point. Fish and chips. Trey Lance. Discuss. I'm I don't think that much has changed for me with Trey Lance. I know it sure seems like the 5 minutes of kind of sports talk that I listen to that he's getting traded. I don't know why they would trade him. If I was the San Francisco 49ers, they're obviously comfortable with uncomfortable quarterback rooms. Every year they get guys hurt. Why wouldn't you want the best stable of quarterbacks you could possibly get? I'm not sure what part of that doesn't make sense, but Bryce Hart. Any ideas for the next X's and O's video? No, I'm open to ideas. If you have ideas, let me know. Hit me with them. Joe, seeing the news that the A's are officially leaving Oakland. Oh, are they really? I saw the fact that they bought land in Vegas. Do you have any fond memories of visiting the Oakland Coliseum? Joe, have I not told this story online? Fuck, I feel like I have. Maybe I haven't. All right, lock in here. We're going to go a little Oakland Coliseum story. I've got a bunch of stories. I'll only tell one. And this is about me as a spectator. So, got a chance to go to the Baltimore Ravens, Oakland Raiders AFC Championship game. Trent Dilfer, maybe. All I really remember about the game is Sharp taking a big post to for a score. The other part about it, so 2 parts. We're sat in really good seats, like club seats. I didn't get the tickets. A good friend of mine got the tickets for me, invited me. I want to say we were in high school or maybe just out of high school. I don't remember when exactly it was. Someone can probably find the date and tell me. But we're sitting down, and on my left, there is a dude. Now, I love this movie growing up. Thrashing. It's a skater movie. I think maybe it's a California thing, a West Coast thing. I don't know. I think it's called Thrashing. I'm pretty sure I own it on Amazon Prime as well. Made my kids watch it probably. One of the dudes who's like the buddies of the main character wears like a little hat. He sat down next to me, and I swear to God, he was dressed like the character. So I'm all excited that this guy's sitting next to me. This is really cool. I don't know if I worked up to I think I told him that I loved the movie, and that was kind of it. That happens. Less than 2 minutes later, Metallica comes in front of us, the row in front of us. Okay. Now, this is when the Napster thing was going crazy. And I think they were suing Napster or some sort of legal issue with Metallica and the drummer, Lars. And that guy, at some point in the game, that Metallica drummer stood up. And the section that I was in went bananas, yelling everything you could imagine, nothing nice. Basically, F everything, Metallica, F you, Lars, F you, da-da-da. And it was so uncomfortable. I think they ended up getting up and leaving. But I just remember thinking oh my God, dude, these Oakland people are crazy. Raider fans are crazy. But it was wild. So my skater movie, one of my characters, Metallica getting threatened, crowd going crazy, yelling at him, making him leave. It was pretty wild. It was a good game too. There you go, 2001. So college. For me, at least, college. All right. That was my Oakland Coliseum story that I'll share. I got other ones about, I think, my mom in the stands there, but some other time. Appreciate Kyle with the details. What do we got? Sean, you want Bash? Yeah, I mean, I could do Bash. If you're really interested in Bash, I have a full course that has Bash in it. A lot of Bash. Anthony. Oh, my man Carl coming in hot. And you guys are all about the super chats today. I appreciate it. Make these lives easy to do. I'm curious on your thoughts with Kenny Pickett and his ceiling. Where did the ceiling thing come in? Where I feel like that's way more prevalent, people talking about that, than recently. I think 5-6 years down the road, teams will be kicking themselves for not taking him. I'll take that bet, Carl. Come back and see me in 5-6 years, and let me know if I'm kicking myself. I mean, his ceiling, well, this is, I guess, the way that I think of it. I don't know. I don't love talking ceilings because I feel like I'm putting an artificial cap on someone's capacity, and I just didn't like people doing that to me. So I don't necessarily love doing it to other people. Uh, but let's just do this thought experiment or kind of walk this path. In that division, who do you like? Who is Kenny Pickett better than? Joe Burrow? No. Deshaun Watson? I mean, maybe better person, you know. We'll see. You know, Deshaun Watson didn't play well last year. I didn't watch a snap of it. People have told me he didn't play well. I can't imagine I'm going to watch a snap of it unless he just becomes the MVP anytime soon. But he's a pretty good player. Like, you know, creep aside, pretty good player. The Ravens, most likely Lamar Jackson. I refuse to think that they're going to let him go, but maybe they do. Maybe Kenny Pickett's better than whoever they have in Baltimore, but he's not better than Lamar Jackson. So you're going to be happy in 5 or 6 years with the worst quarterback in the division. I mean, I'm not saying you can go out what the fix would be, but those are 3 really good quarterbacks. And the AFC is loaded, but that division is loaded. You got it, Carl. Come on back. My man Darren, when reading a safety playing center field, is it more effective to pump fake to one side or just move the safety with your eyes? I definitely wouldn't be in the habit of moving with people with pump fakes. I think pump fakes are a little bit more effective. Well, it depends on the timing and the rhythm of the play. If you have time to kind of, I think of pump fakes as more like double moves, like, you know, you've got time to pump, reset, throw. I think of more moving people with eyes and shoulders. I think of more eyes and shoulders. So kind of like, you know, you can like shoulder deke someone as a little bit more of a like day-to-day thing. I think of pump fakes as more like we're taking a shot, like big pump, let it rip over the top, or big pump, flip your hips, throw it. So I think a more effective and efficient and consistent way to do it is eyes and shoulders. But I think it depends on the play. Boom. Joe Hebert, what's your favorite non-football book? Ooh. I think the question, I've been answering that question maybe like the last 5 years with Ulysses Grant's memoir. I have it somewhere. Yeah. Boom. Now, you don't have to get this exact one. Whoop. And they have a bunch of different iterations of it, but this is one of my favorite books. I probably read this thing too many times in the last 5 years. Joe. We do need more Oakland. The other Oakland stories, yeah, they're interesting. They're probably not as G-rated as that one was. Fish and chips. I believe coming out of college, it's a case of blank slate, and the past doesn't mean much, and it's learning to be a pro. Is there any truth to this view, or am I off beam? I don't know what off beam means, but I definitely don't think it's a blank slate. I think you want to use it as kind of a using your college or whatever experience you're bringing into the league as hopefully you have a really strong foundation to build something upon. If you're coming in with a blank slate and you know, whatever you played and did in high school or college doesn't allow you to kind of build your football understanding, you know, I'd be pissed at my coaches if that was the case. I would, you know, I think it's beneficial to come into something where you understand what I call on this channel like universal ball, things that are transferable to most systems. That doesn't mean that you will 100% be able to take what you did there to here, but I think at least having some sort of understanding about it. And you see guys nowadays, and I'll be honest with you, I've been solicited to help guys. I just don't, it's not my thing. But like a lot of these guys who go through the draft process, part of their draft process is learning the playbook, getting it taught, getting it installed. So getting the process of learning quickly, learning how things are done in the league, with installations, walkthroughs, playing, practicing, game plan, execution, like the expectations for all that stuff and the turnaround, I think can be a little daunting to some people who aren't quite used to the pace of it and the volume of it, but I don't think you go in with like a clean slate. Darren, favorite pitchers to watch in the Padres? I would probably say you is probably my favorite as well. I'd say I will say that the guy that I think is sometimes the hardest to watch, and that's Blake Snell. Not the fact that he's a bad pitcher, doesn't do well. It's just sometimes it can be a struggle. There have been a lot of guys though. I feel like the one dude that I really like is hurt right now too, coming out of the bullpen. Is it Garcia? Either way, they're loaded, man. It's a lot of fun. Saw a couple good questions in here. What else? Michael, good to see you, JT. Since you began the channel some 5 years ago, has it really been 5 years? Wow. Do you think are some of the key changes in how offenses and defenses are designed? Ooh. I would say over the course of 5 years. Well, and I guess I always think about it as the level too. So the level, I think the league has become a little bit more fluid, a little bit more adaptive to the college game, to the spread, to the horizontal, to that. They haven't been able to take full advantage of the tempo because of the earpiece and some of the like wordiness of it. But I feel like the league looks more like college than vice versa, and I think that's a good thing for ball. I think the rules have changed the game as well, as far as the protecting the players, all those good things, but also changed the way that offenses have played. I think just the passing game and the way that the kind of run game is packaged together, was so predominant in the past to say, we're going to run it down their throat, we're going to do all that. Well, now you really have to throw the ball. And I think over the course of 5 years, that and the protecting the quarterback, the protecting the players has allowed that to really thrive probably more than most people anticipated. CB, boom. I appreciate you. Changed my outlook on the game. Hopefully good. I look forward to being able to apply what I learn when I get back to a high school staff. My birthday today. Happy birthday, dog. Very cool. Enjoy. Have yourself a day. Yeah, keep me posted on when you get back into the game. Excited. It's always fun for me. It really is. And I say this genuinely. When people are able to take what, a couple nuggets here and there from the channel and apply it to either their enjoyment of the game, their ability to coach, teach, play, those things are fun for me, man. This thing really does have a bizarre reach that I probably don't totally understand, but it's still a lot of fun to just get the note that, hey, this mattered to me. I really appreciate this. I get a lot from that. I get a kick out of it. So thank you for letting me know when you do. Ba-boom. Alexander, have you talked about your experience in NFL Europe? Yes, I think I have a full video on NFL Europe, so get over there, check that out. Also, any thoughts on the current XFL US FT? No real thoughts. Sorry on the XFL beyond. I need to watch my Barnstormers? Whatever's in St. Louis. I haven't watched them, I'll be honest with you. I reached out to a couple people actually at one point trying to get the film for a couple games and just didn't, and I didn't follow up. So I haven't watched any real film. I've heard it's a good product, the XFL, but I haven't watched any of whatever the other league is. Barry, ba-boom, coming in hot. Barry, aka Van T. How, for you, do you measure good cognitive mental abilities, maturity, etc., when watching a player in a game, play, or sidelines, etc.? How important are those? Barry, I probably don't measure those things. I don't pretend to have that capacity to measure cognitive ability from watching film. I think the mental ability, the maturity, I don't think those are the same thing. So when you put it like mental abilities, parentheses, maturity, etc., that's a big ass bucket for me. I think the things that you can measure on film, as far as the mental abilities, are the abilities that probably fall into what most people call like a processing bucket. So how quickly can they play? Do you see them going through definitive reads that make sense to you, that look like they are transferable to me to how you would play on Sunday. Those to me are the things that I try to measure as far as his ability to play. I don't know if that would be mental ability, but I really try to stay away from that shit, man, where it's like, hey, I've heard he doesn't test well, or I heard he's, not the smartest guy in the world. I've just been around so many guys that I would classify as not the smartest guys in the world that are ballers at playing football. And so I don't necessarily think one is a disqualifier for the other. That's just the nicest way I can put it. And how important are those? They're not, again, unless it's like some sort of like severe issue. And I would even say like not knowing how to read is not as severe an issue as I'm talking about. Someone who just struggles to process any amount of information, who, those types of learning issues, and even in a massive learning, we'll call it, issue, I still think you can have the support system around a person like that could thrive playing football. That's just me. I'm sure other people it would definitely be easier to have a lot of geniuses walking around, but I don't know. It's kind of like I used to say all the time, like, I don't want a football team. I don't want to play on a football team. I don't want a football team of a bunch of choir boys. I don't want a football team of a bunch of the smartest guys in the world. In my opinion, you're going to need a mixture of a lot of different kind of cats, and some dudes who maybe don't test well can be absolute freak athletes and unbelievable nose for the ball and just great football players. So to me, it doesn't matter. Now, you can't have a team of guys who don't know how to read. Okay, so there's a balance in that. Yeah, Alexander, the USFL, I don't watch it it's the same for me. The fact that I didn't know that that's not the correct acronym tells you how much I don't watch that league. Sorry. Richard, my guy, appreciate the support. Nicholas Gurr, what you got? My son is 10 in year 3 of tackle. Objectively nice lefty QB for his age, thanks to Madden. Any books or resources that can help me teach him more? Yeah, depending on where you're at, that to me is kind of that probably on the early spectrum of, potentially getting him some like individual quarterback coaching work. Most areas have a lot of really competent guys. If you're in Southern California, there's certainly a lot of guys. If you're, across different parts of the states, there are a lot of guys. Depending on where you're at, I would tell you to maybe look into that. If he and not you really want him to do that. If he wants to go on Sundays in a park and get better with another voice, I think that's worth exploring. If he is hesitant, he definitely doesn't have to do that. In fact, I would probably tell him to just play baseball or whatever else he's into, hoops, soccer, lacrosse, and he'll be fine for many, many years doing just that. But if he's into it, I think he could probably, expand his game with hearing different voices if they are competent and have kind of the, a resume that shows that they are comfortable coaching young kids like that. Darren, dude, the Anthony Richardson Vandy breakdown on Patreon had me crying laughing. Is that Gator wearing a dress? Yeah, man. Who was I talking to? Oh, I went on the Bootleg podcast. My guy EJ and Brett, and we were talking about the Patreon community. And the Patreon community, and I know I'm trying to sell y'all are here on a live stream, so you guys obviously enjoy the channel, and I appreciate the support. But the thing about the Patreon community for me is some of my favorite parts of playing quarterback in the league. There were a lot of them, but one of them is just the quarterback room. And like the conversations and the way the film is watched, I just felt like was different. And trying to recreate that environment where, yeah, it's about the X's and O's. Yeah, it's about the detail. It's about the craft. It's about the understanding. All that. It can be all that. And you're missing out on some of the fun parts if you don't acknowledge things that happen in the crowd, things that happen on the sidelines, the mascots, all those types of things. Like I always think about the mascots in like Bull Durham. This is a good story. I don't know if I've told this on a live stream. I'm telling some decent stories today, but put it this way. There was a quarterback coach of mine. Well, let's call it a coach of mine. I don't know if he was technically the quarterback coach at the time. A coach of mine in the league that, I feel like I've told the story on here before, so forgive me. we're watching the film, or I'm watching the film like Monday before our quarterback meeting. And well, after the game, we're in like the visitors parking lot, and I see this guy talking to this girl who I know he's single. I know he just broke up with his girlfriend. So he's putting in work like outside the bus. We're all on the bus. He's putting in work with this girl. And, you know, you remember who he's talking to. You can talk to him like, you know, what's going on? Who's that? Da, da, da. Like in the family section after a road game, like you obviously, hopefully know this person. So I notice it. We go back, watch the film. As we're watching the film, I notice immediately that she is sitting under the scoreboard that is used as the cut up to like see the down and distance, the time of the game, timeouts. She's right there. So I can see her game experience the whole time. Like she's with her friend. She's by herself. Some random dudes are trying to talk to him. A bunch of dudes are trying to talk to him. There's a bunch of girls sitting with him now. Like you can see the whole experience. And so I tell the coach, I'm like, yo, bro, your girl that you were talking to, you know, you want to watch her, you know, get hit on during this game, you can check out the film. She's under the scoreboard the entire game. And little shit like that to me was as much fun as I ever had watching film in like a group setting where you could see this guy who's like trying to put in work with this girl basically get hit on and have drinks bought for her and just have a great time at the game while he's working, and it's on video for the whole team and quarterback room to see. It was pretty good. Boom. Game Effect loves the quarterback school hats. Ba-boom. Love it. Get yourself one. Appreciate the support. Going fast. Game Effect. Tatis is back today. Happy Tatis Day. Do you think the local burger joint, Hodad's, overrated, underrated? I think it's rated perfectly. It's a cool vibe. If you go to the OB one, are there multiple ones? I don't know. It's not good enough where I would want it at Petco, but I have been there. I don't crave it. That's just me. We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll shut it down. This actually went a little bit longer than I was planning on going, but I appreciate everybody coming in, especially all the super chats make it easy to do this. So appreciate the support, y'all. We need quarterback school hoodies. Yeah, bro. I'm still recovering from the merch just to get the hats out there. The thing about the hoodies, well, you guys don't give a shit, but we'll see eventually. I need to get the hat sold, but once I do that, we'll definitely do something else. Appreciate it. CJB, Breezy. There could be Joe, that's a decent idea, just story time. Although most of the good stories are kind of not live stream appropriate, which make them good stories, obviously. But yeah. All right, couple more. Walton, hey JT, for you, what constitutes a complete passing game? Oh, baby. Is it a case of having different coverage beaters, areas of the field, depth of target, or something different altogether? Thanks. Ooh, Walton, that's a big question, dog. I think the first part of it would be it depends on the level. Okay, so qualifier. And then the next part of it would be measuring it from the kind of like ex post facto, like after the fact, feeling like every game you had enough answers. You never went into a game and you felt like, oh shit, I don't know what to call, or we don't have any good plays. So whatever that amount is to get there, and I've been there before coaching high school football. My first year, we were basically only 10 personnel, and we didn't have answers for certain things, and we got exposed multiple times. And so I know what that feels like. And that's not necessarily that, you know, that can be a combination of a lot of things, but basically feeling like you've got an answer for everything that you see in a game. That doesn't mean that you have an answer for every single thing ever in the history of ball, but making sure that your preparation has allowed you to have answers for whatever you see over the course of a season. And so that's how I think about carrying and building out a passing game. You can get into kind of the like sectors, the way that you broke it down. You can do it a bunch of different ways. I probably think of it off the top of my head of having abilities to attack all levels of the field. So short, intermediate, deep shots. I think of it in different ways of pass protection. So quick, true drop back, change the launch point, play action, sprint out, naked, bootlegs, trick'ems, being able to do all those types of things with a bunch of different concepts and having coverage beaters, whether they're good versus anything, all-purpose plays, specific man beaters, zone beaters, pressure beaters, screen game, all of those things together, to me. And then I always felt like my favorite games to call were games where I felt like I have too many good plays. Like I can't get to all these plays, where it almost feels like, oh, the other team's going to think we're running it up because I'm calling these plays, but these are just our good plays. And like we keep scoring. So that's when I feel like you've got a robust offense, not necessarily specific to a passing game, but where you feel like, oh, I've got, in a high school game, I've got 20 plus plays that I got to call. Like I got to call these plays. They're so good. They're so ready. We polished them. And to be like, and if you have more than that, great. But those were the games where I was like, oh yeah, we're about to roll someone out of the stadium. All right, y'all. That's a good one to end on. Thanks so much for hanging to the end of this thing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Lots of stories today. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. All good times. Enjoy your Thursday. Happy Tatis Day. And be on the lookout tomorrow. CJ Stroud versus Penn State. Pretty fun one. All right. Appreciate you.